Well, today is another special day in baseball. No, we're not going to talk Omaha just yet. We're going to talk MLB draft, and it's a day that a lot of guys are waiting to have their name called, especially several of the Gamecocks that we expected to go today. Well, a couple of them are already off the board, plus even the ones in high school that went first, I should say, before any of the players that are now on the roster for the Gamecocks. And now joining me, Brian Handel, Spurs and Feathers. And Brian, of course, it was a day that we thought several guys from South Carolina would go, but I want to start with the guy that I respect a lot with this baseball team is Kyle Martin, who came back. He was drafted 20th last year. Of course, he made up that in a lot of rounds today. But as we were talking earlier off the air, may not mean money was made up. It actually may mean money lost.
Yeah, it might be money lost. He's probably lost a little in the signing bonus, but he's gotten further towards his degree. He's going to finish up in December, and but more than anything, he became a better baseball player this year. He got an All-American. You got to put him as one of the best to ever don the garnet and the black for the Gamecock baseball team. And he went from the 20th round to the 4th round. As much as anything, that's what we call respect. That shows that you go out there and you did your job. Think about where the Gamecocks would have been without Kyle Martin this year. It would have been an even tougher year. But
no doubt about it.
But you got to respect what he did.
Well, he's a guy, I think, by coming back and being a leader for this baseball team and just really he could have had a player of the year type of year had the South Carolina baseball team been more relevant. I think he would have been in that consideration. But when you're talking about the power that he had, the RBIs that he had, and of course, his glove on first base, I think he's one of the best in the SEC. You got to feel good about Kyle Martin. But now help a brother out because how do you make up 16 rounds and potentially lose money? I mean, baseball to me, I always thought it was quirky and weird. The draft makes it more quirky and weird for me because you're a senior and you stay your 4 or 5 years in college, it hurts you as far as money is concerned.
Yeah, I think what it really boils down to is the major league team want more time to work with you, and they feel like that if they bring you in earlier, they'll have a little time. But a lot of times, look at the picks in the draft. 4 of the top 8 came from the SEC.
Right.
They went to college,
right?
So and I think that's what Kyle Martin realizes. That, like I said, he's a better baseball player. Yeah, he could have got 100 to 150, whatever that number was. It was rumored last year. Coming out of the 20th round. This year is probably going to be more like 50 to 100, maybe a little bit more if they value him a little bit more. Kyle Martin actually grew up a Phillies fan as well.
Nice.
I mean, so I'm sure it's something that he's pretty excited about signing. But like I said, he's going to be an engineer. He's going to have money anyways, and he came back. Kudos to Kyle Martin. But yeah, I agree. There's something flawed in the system when you can make up 16 rounds but lose money. No
doubt about that. But the guy that may not lose money, Jack Wynkoop, who I thought had an outstanding year. Now he's kind of struggled there at the end, but a guy that I really like at the next level. Of course, I don't think he's going to come back. He's going to be able to recoup some money for him, but it's a nice pickup in the 6th round for Jack Wynkoop.
Oh, yeah, and it's actually a lot lower, probably 50 to maybe even 75 picks lower than I thought he would go. Jack Wynkoop, as you mentioned, had an unbelievable year, particularly when the Gamecocks needed it most. What he did against Vanderbilt, in some of those bigger games after Will Crow went down with the Tommy John surgery, that was when Jack Wynkoop stepped up, and that was why I thought he would go a lot higher than he did. I thought the teams would see those intangibles and kind of go off of it, but let's face it, he's a lefty who's crafty, so he's got intangibles that major league teams want. So I think Kyle Martin and Jack Wynkoop, both, as we've mentioned, both of them will both play in the major leagues one day.
Well, let's stick to the pitching thing because a kid that I know out of Georgia that they wanted to come was Neidert, a guy that a lot of folks compared him to Tim Hudson. I mean, 6'1", 185 pounds, and he gets drafted. It was 60th pick, I believe, overall, and that's probably going to mean a lot of Benjamins, a lot of cheese. I don't think we're going to see him in a Gamecock uniform.
Yeah, going back to that, we didn't even mention the money for Wynkoop. That's kind of slotted at $300,000. I like you would be surprised if he comes back to South Carolina, but maybe he does. I was kind of surprised when Kyle Martin came back, but maybe he does. But with Neidert, who is coming to play for South Carolina or has committed to play for South Carolina, that would be a lot more money. That's slotted at $1.2 million.
$1.2 million.
That's what it slotted at. So it could be more. It could be a little bit less, depending on what they were. That story that they did on the Seattle Times today said that he's still debating, but he thinks obviously the clear choice is Seattle, and he said the clear choice. So I would expect him probably to go the other way. And Chad Holbrook has been telling us for a long time that was the way he felt you go. And if you're going to get $1.2 million, maybe that's probably the way you should go.
Yeah, I mean, I said this to you earlier. I just don't understand how a kid can turn down that type of money when you talk about college. the graduates can't get jobs. I mean, if they get a job, it's a low-paying job. So $1.2 million. We talked about Nick Schufo a year ago out of Lexington. We thought maybe if he came to South Carolina, he'd been the starting pitcher. No doubt would have helped this Chad Holbrook and baseball team out. But you can't blame a kid if they're getting that kind of money, first-round money, and you know, to forego college. No doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you mentioned Schufo, who would obviously been the heir apparent to Grayson Griner, who's now in the minor leagues himself and doing extremely well. But you know, but had to go his own way after junior. Think about if you know, what if Joey Pancake doesn't go as well? I mean, last year as well, you got 2 seniors on this team in South Carolina. It's probably one of those teams that's in the World Series right now. You know, at the end of the day, it's really a lot about the Jimmies and Joes. And sometimes even when you have the Jimmies and Joes, you got to gel. So you never know. But, you know, it's hard to turn down that type of money because you know what? When you have that type of money, you can pay to go to college.
That's right. And hopefully they'll pay for them to go back or whatever. But if I guess you never get on campus, they can't pay for you to go back. But a lot of the guys probably going high school and college will get drafted, guys like Max Schrock and others. But wish them absolutely nothing but the best. Thanks, Brian Hand from Spurs and Fellas. We're going to wrap things up here at Sports. We'll come back in a moment.